Okay, well, it's wonderful to be here as a community member rather than an academic. Surat Sham has been an amazing friend over many years, as has Margaret, that I know from other things, and I was pulled into this project, and previously Rainbow Jews, which was more of a political project, because of the work that I've done over many years, both as an activist and as somebody who's worked on equalities professionally within the criminal justice system. I've specialised in doing things about equal impact assessments for the Metropolitan Police, working with groups as diverse as firearms and stop and search committees. I no longer work for the Metropolitan Police. So what I'd like to talk to you about is my own experience as an activist and an artist, and what it's meant for me. 5.5 years ago, I split up from my partner after 16 years. We were actually the first couple to use the service that had been developed on the very first civil partnership in Camden in 2005. We were the first couple. Unfortunately, after 16 years, I didn't realise that she left me for a straight man. It was devastating, and mental health suffered. We were an it couple, and I went through a really, really tough time. And one of the things that's pulled me out of it is this being involved in these projects, and it gave me a sense of self-efficacy. And reconnected me with who I am, which is primarily a writer and a performer. So, what has happened in terms of performance and Rituals Reconstructed is that I have worked for maybe 30 years as a writer talking about being Jewish and lesbian, because that's my experience. I was part of the Shifra project, which was the response to the spare rib dispute in the 1980s. Ellie Tickford Sarah was also on the collective of that, and I was the only person to have something in all 4 issues of Shifra that came out. And I've been involved in Jewish and feminist activities for an awfully long time. I know Debbie Gibbard from that period as well, and it's gone on. I used to do things at home before I was with Sarah, like have Purim parties or have Shavuot tea parties, and I've just moved house. I recently came across some pictures of me and a group of friends sitting around in 1990 having a Shavuot tea party, and that's who I am. That's how I've engaged with ritual. It's always been reconstructed, and I used to have seders that were a group of gay friends and family that we always were together, and that's restarting. I've always talked about the connection between being Jewish and being lesbian, and my poetry has reflected that. For example, I wrote a big piece, which I still stand by, called For a Woman, that was in Shifra, which was talking about coming out of Egypt as if the flight from Egypt for the Seder, freedom, all of those things, the relationship with a woman. Recently, within the Rituals Reconstructed project, I was fortunate to be invited to speak as a community member at UEA, and I performed a piece, my signature piece at the moment, which is called I Tell Stories, which actually connects to the person who was talking about Ken Plummer, because I'm also very familiar with Ken Plummer's work, and it was very much a personal kind of rendition that I believe is on the website. I have done things like reconstructed rituals that are not easy, like I sat a shiver, not within Rituals Reconstructed, but in a group called the Darlings, which is a lesbian theatre troupe that used to exist in London, a community theatre troupe. I resat a shiver for Sarah, and we had a minion of lesbians to sit the shiver. I don't know if I could recreate that performance. Most recently, we were at JW3 in the heart of the community, and I can't tell you how much that means to me, to be in the heart of the Jewish community in terms of the cultural Jewish community, doing a lesbian piece. I performed a piece in development about Yentl and exploring a range of lesbian and queer identities that Yentl could have, because it's a very good story to deconstruct. And at the moment, for the Queer Purim Spiel that's coming up, I'm working on the relationship between Vashti and Esther. And I think that they might have had a fling sometime along the line. In fact, I think in their old age, in their dotage, they were a very devoted lesbian couple. And this is going to be the text of what I'm developing. Rituals Reconstructed has been an absolute gift for me in finding a focus as a British Jewish feminist. In America, there are loads of lesbian feminists that are Jewish, that write about being lesbian, write about being Jewish, and they're all very accepted. Here, there isn't really that space and that platform. So Ritual Reconstructed has given me a platform that I wouldn't have otherwise done, and encouraged me to perform again and to write and to know that I'm valued in terms of my performance, my output and my productivity in a way that I haven't felt valued and recognised for very, very many years. And I'd like to thank everybody that's been part of this project and the opportunities it has given me and continues to give me, and the hope for the future.